Good morning, everyone. Yes, reading is amazing. In college, I had a friend. She was no Mintra girl, but amazing. She wanted to get into long distance running, but was always at the butt of jokes and pranks due to her weak and ordinary physique. On being always teased as to she would never even qualify quarter of a mile, she quietly asserted, I would do 10 miles. And would you believe she actually did? And there we found our own Paula Radcliffe, the marathon star. She never let her running slow down. She never gave up. She made it sound very simple when she confidently said, when I am running, I'm constantly telling myself, I can do the next lap. I can do the next lap. That's all. Anyone can do it. Reading is also like a marathon. The students of literature are at the starting point when they decide to pursue literature in graduation. The laurels are waiting at the finishing line for all. Some chew the ribbon and bite the gold, and some give up and fall. Some don't even start, wondering and missing what is called an amazing journey of imagination, knowledge, adventure, and skill. With this, I welcome you all. I am Dr. SEEMA RATHORE. With the help of Manju ma'am, Vibha ma'am, Uma ma'am, the technical team, under the aegis of College Education Rajasthan, the Gyan Doot live session. Welcome all for the topic reading and writing skills. Let us now define writing. One of the most interesting and simplest way to define reading has been given by Jensen and Petty. When words go into your eyes and come out of your mouth, words keep floating in and out of our mind constantly. But meaning is at the focal point of all kind of reading. Whatever and however one reads, one has to arrive at meaning. Here, I would like to talk about the three models of reading. The first one we have is the behaviorist model, or the bottom-up process of the reading. We start first with the letters, their phonics. They form words, sentences, and paragraphs. And with this, we decode the text and arrive at the meaning. The second one is the gestalist model, or the top-down model of the reading process. Here, a reader puts in their emotions, intuitions, intentions, experiences, and knowledge to the text to arrive at the meaning. The third one is the interactive or the cognitive model, which encompasses the best of both the above models. Remember one thing, with the help of rich vocabulary only, you should have a rich vocabulary bank to decode the text and comprehend to reach the meaning. Comprehension. Yes. Comprehension is the most important concern of reading. You got to learn, remember, and understand what you read. Factors such as vocabulary, home, school, and social environment always contribute towards comprehension of the text by a reader. Reading is not just a single skill. It's a multiple skill that fulfills multiple purposes. Reading is an important communication skill. It brings the reader to take a stance. It informs and gives details. It is expository on one hand, and on the other, it enhances the aesthetic sense when one gets in touch while reading with varied feelings, emotions, and narratives. Students, reading is not, however, a rocket science. It can be made easy. Here, we'll talk about the KWL method. In our lives, we read a lot of things like newspapers, books, internet material, magazines, articles, reports, and textbooks. To go ahead, literature students are special because they read Shakespeare, Adam Bede, Thoreau, Greek literature, and even difficult novels. To make reading simple, let us think reading like jogging. Warm up, run, and cool down. So, when you read better, it brings better memory, better understanding, and to make you a great scholar of literature who stands apart from others. Now, I'm going to talk about the KWL method, which is going to help you to make reading easy and enjoyable like jogging. Reading made easy by the KWL. The K stands for knowledge. What do you know before you start reading a text? W stands for what do you want to know while you are reading the text? And L stands for finally the post-reading part. What have you learned after you have read the text? For example, you want to read the book by APJ Abdul Kalam, that is Wings of Fire. Before you start reading, take up a diary, a register, or even your notepad and divide the page into 3 parts. Knowledge, W, that is what you want to know, and L, KWL. What do you know about Wings of Fire? Do you know about APJ Abdul Kalam? Maybe you know something about his interesting hairstyle. He was one of the most popular president of India. He was even a youth icon. Write it down in the K column. Second column, what do you want to know? That is, what is the purpose of reading Wings of Fire? Maybe you want to know about APJ Abdul Kalam's life and times, his career, his thoughts and ideas. And the last column, that is learned, L, what have you learned after you finish the reading? Here, maybe Abdul Kalam has taught us how the youth can explore the vast potential of life and nation, but how half-heartedly they do it. He has even taught us to arise, to awake, and stop not till we achieve our goals. Perhaps after we finish reading The Wings of Fire, we might be inspired to read his second book, that is Ignited Minds. So in this way, the KWL method can make your reading easy and sounds interesting, also like jogging. Reading brings you to a stance. Arriving at the stance, these factors can help your language and literature study either a smooth sailing, a comfortable and a convenient part to handle. It can even save you from the feeling that literature is something bizarre or a hard nut to crack, which is not. Enhancing your reading skills can categorize the scholars of literature because Students, while studying literature, there are only two kinds of students. They are either performers or non-performers, learners who make a good career out of it, and non-learners who may just drag all through life. Now we come to the second part of our session, that is writing skills. Are you struggling with writing? Perhaps. Not every literature student struggles in her preparation for exams. A good learner always prepares thoroughly to write his exam. Here, we need to go back to the good reading skills always. Before you prepare for your exams, the first thing that you have to read is your syllabus, which is a combination of units, topics, which comprises of authors, ages, theories, poetry, drama, plays, novels, and essays. Here the good thing is that every unit, if it contains 10 to 12 topics, you can always choose, and intelligent students always choose the best. Smart workers. Intelligent students are smart workers who go back and learn and study the previous year's question papers also to understand the patterns and trends of questions that are asked in the exams. In your final exam, you have to attempt a 1-mark question, a 5-mark question, a 10-mark question, or a 20-mark question. Apart from that, there are reference to context based on the original text also. The challenge for the student is to navigate between answers to be written in 1 line, 2 pages, 4 to 5 pages, and finally 10 pages. It might be easy to write a 2-page answer on the same theme of any story, but when the same question or the theme has to be elaborated in a 10-page essay, begins the struggle. Now, how you need to elongate the answer, how you need to elaborate it. You cannot go on writing the summary all the time or just paraphrasing the plot. Well, everyone would do that, but how do meritorious students perform? How do toppers go about? That is the question. Yes. Performers plan. Even after reading the full text thoroughly, it becomes difficult for the students to write an answer that could fetch them good marks. The answer is lack of planning. To attain a decent score or to be a topper, advanced planning is required. Just being an intelligent reader is not enough. You have to be an intelligent writer as well to present a good answer that can impress your examiner that the student is well read, he has read the text thoroughly and has captured the essence well and gone beyond just the reading of the text. A long answer here can be divided into 2 parts. You can make notes. There are general notes that you can always make which will be helpful for any answer. And the second would be the specific details. The general points that a scholar can include in her essay are introduction to the age, biography of the author, literary movements, introduction about the genre, or some critical reviews. The specific details are major points such as theme, plot, title, paraphrase, quotations from the text, characters, symbols, opinions that lead to an overall analysis, and finally a logical conclusion drawn in the end that suits the purpose of the question. Here, at this juncture, I am sharing a beautiful poem named Solitary Reaper by William Wordsworth which no student would have ever missed to read. Let us read a few points or a few lines of these poems, and while we are reading, go back to your reading skills and think about the KWL method, the behaviorist, that is the BGI method, the behaviorist, the gestalist, or the interactive model of reading. So, read along. Behold her single in the field, yon solitary highland lass, reaping and singing by herself. Stop here, or gently pass. Alone she cuts and binds the grain, and sings a melancholic strain. Oh, listen, for the vale profound is overflowing with the sound. I'll read the last stanza now. Whatever the theme the maiden sang, as if her song could have no ending, I saw her singing at her work, and I listened motionless and still, and as I mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore long after it was heard no more. So, read, follow the KWL method along with the 3 models of reading. Coming to the writing part again, the 2 major parts into which you could divide your notes, the general notes. These notes you can always make beforehand in your register or in your notepads. First, you could take the introduction to the age. This is an opening that has to be most impressive in your answer. Your presentation begins here. It has to be of a refined quality because remember, first impression is the best impression. The expression about the age, in this case of romantic age, you can always choose and select some iconic lines based on the romantic age. For example, a worldview that is romantic age is a worldview that is inclined to be imaginative, profound, mysterious, wonderful, adventurous, and strange, expressed most beautifully in poetry, music, and painting, with subjectivism and higher intelligence. Originated in German thought, taken forward by Friedrich Schlegel. You could write a page on romantic movement because every poet or author is a part of a big movement in time. Next comes introduction to the author. In this section, you could devote a page on the biography, literary achievements, influences, works, some highlighted specialities of the writer. The knowledge should be exclusive, special, and something that leaves the examiner amazed at the reading depth and width of the scholar. You could highlight on how Wordsworth's composition of knowledge, how he connects nature, imagination, and knowledge, and also that the year 2020 has marked the year of Wordsworth's 250th birthday. This contemporary knowledge makes you an intelligent scholar and writer, and you have to be intelligent enough to present yourself as a well-read scholar who uses broadening and going beyond the text and reading as an important skill. Next comes introduction to the work. The work means text on which the question has been asked. You could write about the title, the subtitle, dates of publication, speciality of the title, the work as such. Also mention if some awards have been won by the work or the author. A short paragraph or a précis would also be sufficient. But remember, just writing uncut summaries will not help. To fetch good marks, you need to make your answer a designer answer. Your answer has to be, your paraphrase or a summary has to be well designed. How the poem, you could write how the solitary reaper fits in the lyrical ballads, how it expresses the poet's growth of the poet's mind. You could also talk about the impression that the village of Strathar played upon the poet's mind. And if you include all this in the introduction to the work, it's going to be a great write-up. Next comes the literary movement. The literary movement of which the poet or the author is a part is deeply embedded in the works of the life of the writer and the works. There, a mention of such movement makes the answer and shows the scholarly bent of mind based on sound reason. We can talk about how Wordsworth is rightly called the poet of nature, how his contribution to the creation of the perception and observing and understanding nature, its innumerable secrets, all these are important ingredients that the student could make in his write-up. And here, writing in this way will make the student's battle already half won. So these were the 4 general notes that the student can always prepare beforehand. Now we come to the specific details. Everyone writes a simple summary, but that is average content. In order to make your content excellent and worthy, you need to beautify it with quotations, information, knowledge, intertextual references, citations, reviews, and critical comments. This will enhance the quality of your answer and show that going beyond the boundaries of the text is the special characteristic skill of any literature student. The first topic of specific notes is the intertextual references. This section can compare and contrast the given work with other works. For example, Reaper, the solitary reaper of the Keats could be compared to, the solitary reaper of Wordsworth could be compared to John Keats' Win Over Cider-Presser in Ode to Autumn. The Highlands music of the solitary reaper reverberating in the Hebrides could be also compared to the Nightingale's song, which he bids adieu to John Keats and he's wondering whether it was a vision or a waking dream. If you write like this, your answer becomes worthy and impressive. Next we come to cite other works of the poet and the author. If we take up Solitary Reaper, you could give examples from the Lucy poem, a beautiful nature poem by Wordsworth. You talk about daffodils, yes, it could be a very good reference point here. You could also take up showing your sound reason and understanding of nature by Wordsworth. You can talk about intimations on immortality, the tranquility theory of poetry, the definition of his poetry would show your scholarly bent of mind and make your answer fetching good marks, impressing upon the examiner's mind. Then we come to quotations from the text and literary devices. Sometimes you need to flaunt your hard work. You need to show how hardworking you are. And during your exams, this is the time to do so. Take up quotations, choose the best literary devices, highlight them, sprinkle them in your answer here and then. Use different highlighters You can even change your pen while writing these examples from literary devices and quotations. This will show the authenticity to your preparations and impress the examiner. Next, we come to the critical comments. If your answer summarizes a few critical comments on the author, it would be a perfect inference or conclusion to the answer. Because remember, students, it is very important that your answer is rounded off. You arrive at the very same place from where you started. As T.S. Eliot has always says that the story of our success or the story of our growth always ends up from where we have always begun. Remember, while writing your critical comments, you can take up comments and critical reviews by various thinkers and theorists about Wordsworth. For example, here you could write what Ronald Sands has said about Wordsworth. He called Wordsworth a revolutionary poet who changed how one would look at nature. We can also write how Dorothy was always recalling his starlit walks, his winter winds compared to his highland walks in the poem The Solitary Reaper. We can also write how Samuel Johnson quipped about his Wordsworth being tired of London. And Wordsworth was always searching for the hum in the highland mountains. Such critical comments and devices is going to make you an impressive writer, and nobody can stop you from being a topper and fetching good marks. Such critical comments, this kind of a planned way of doing and preparing for your exams is surely going to reverberate in the mind of the reader and the examiner, who is going to be impressed by your answer and give you full marks. In the end, there are many topics like the theme, characters, plot, symbols, which cannot be taken up here. But right now, these 8 major points that I have shared in this session, if you can incorporate them in your answer, it is surely going to make you a star performer. And remember, you can bite the goal too and chew the ribbon at the finishing line. In the end, with a big thank you to Commissionerate College Education Rajasthan, technical team, Manju ma'am and all dear ma'am, I would say goodbye with these words. Keep reading, keep making notes, practice writing, and love literature. Remember, you have chosen your love, and that is literature. If you have chosen your love, love your choice. Goodbye and thank you.